seeing these guys in the state they were in at the hardware store at Home Depot made me think that it might be a fun idea, a fun little video to discuss how Amaryllis bulbs work. How is it possible that even though this isn't planted, it has a bloom on it? So, let's cut it open and dig into that. Alright. This is actually a fairly decent bulb. It's pretty shriveled, but it has a nice offshoot, another offshoot. It has flowered twice, apparently. Yeah, that doesn't look great. But if you're familiar with bulbs, then you know that bulbs are basically a storage device. This outer coating on here, these are the tunics, I believe, the dry papery. These are basically from old leaf bases, and they pile and pile and pile. Your bulbs get bigger and bigger and bigger. There's a little bit of mold in there. It's not really surprising. And this thing is fairly well desiccated. It's not even far from rotting. So let's cut this open. There we go. Cut through there all the way. Right. Nice cross section here of an Amaryllis bulb. What's nice about this is now you can see all the different parts that function. If you've ever cut open an onion, it's fairly similar to that. There's a lot of bulb anatomy going on here. This outer papery part, like I already said, that's the tunics. Up here is where you have what would have been the emerged leaf bases. This is where your leaf bases come out, and your buds. So there aren't any unemerged growths in here as far as buds forming. The buds start out... I probably needed to cut a little bit further into the center there. But they start out in here. And they grow up and up and up and up and up. And they tip out. And then you have your opening with your flower. But you see down here, this little area right here. When you see the Amaryllis bulbs that have been dipped in wax, what they've done is they cut through this. They just go chop, and then they dip it in wax. So basically they're removing this root base. I don't know if they add some type of gel or food or anything like that. As you can see, it's not really necessary. This is the basal plate right here. Basal roots. Yeah, you see all those layers? Just like an onion. The only reason I'm doing this is because it was already showing signs of rot. So I don't feel too bad about cutting it up. You may have heard that you don't want to keep water, you don't want to get water inside the crown of an Amaryllis bulb. Well, you can see why when you pop this open and see how loose the layers are up here. And part of the reason it's so loose is, one, I cut it, and two, this bulb is desiccated quite a bit. Down here at the bottom, new bulbs will continually develop throughout the outside. Those are the offshoots. That's how you end up with a big cluster of these plants. And then they generally have a leaf cycle of, I believe, 3 to 4 leaves on the outside. And then that's when you get the inflorescence. At that point, the bases of the leaves enlarge. You can see, and here's where that would have happened. These are the scales. And then in the scales, that's where reserves are stored up energy. So this is kind of the transportation through the basal plate into those scales. You ever had onions? You leave them around too long, they start to grow. Same concept here. But still, that water gets down in here and causes rot. It rots these bulbs. That's why usually we want to plant them about a half to 2/3 of the way. I mean, you can even plant the bottom third. Really, you don't even have to plant them if you just want the flower. You just need to make sure they get some water occasionally, and or not. Look, it'll still flower, but you're not probably going to have good growth on it the next year. So there we have it. That's inside an amaryllis bulb.